So we are here at the second episode of the Croydon Commission Fathers Becoming a Dad podcast, yeah? This section will be about relationships, couples, families, and relationship changes. See this one, fellas? We have our relationship and family life. Baby's arrival, when baby landed, what was it like? How did it change the dynamics in your relationship? For the better, for the worse?
I would say for me personally, it stayed the same, really.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, it stayed pretty much the same. I kind of knew, even though I was young, so I've got two kids.
Yeah.
One's 10, one's 7.
Yeah.
Had the first one 19, second one about 21. And it pretty much stayed the same because we understood what I needed to do. But yeah, as a man, I kind of understood that this is what you got to do, kind of thing.
Did you have support around you?
So yes and no. Had support from my brothers. My mum moved to America, so it was, and I'm her baby, so yeah. So that was that. I think that was a difficult moment of having a child. So when my daughter was born, and my mum moved to America, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna have my mum there because I had her already, and I think that was the difficult moment. So in terms of the family support, I had my brothers and a few friends, but the main support, my mum, I didn't.
Yeah, the man them had to form like Voltron around, man. Like, the baby's had a baby. Let's get together, guys.
Literally like that. So even to today, like, we'll go to a family event and I'll go with my kids. And everyone's like, oh, the baby's got a baby. Like, the baby's got babies. Like, it's mad. So, yeah.
How about you, Dom? How did your dynamic shift or change in any way?
Okay, well, I'm the father of 3 boys, or 3 young men now, as they are. It's a really good question because I've talked about this with my wife a lot. And our story was kind of quite a romantic story in that when we got together, we met at a party in Brighton.
As we do.
And we're just really close friends. And I was seeing women, she was seeing guys, whatever. And then we got together. And because we'd had a lot of conversations about life and family and interests, things that we were kind of passionate about, I felt we really, really knew each other. And very, very soon after we got together, she was pregnant. And I'm talking probably within like 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, yeah?
So it all was just a blur. Like, it's, this is meant to be. It was, if in effect, we were in our 30s, but it was almost like we were behaving like teenagers. And now I look back on it, and we've talked about this, so there's nothing, there's no problem with me sharing this. I wish we'd had more time because we never really had a chance to establish what our partner relationship was like. As friends, fine, that was rock solid, but as a couple, we never really had that. And all of a sudden, within weeks, there's a baby coming, and so we're both going into very different places with that. Obviously, there's the massive hormonal changes for her. We're slightly kind of, as guys, we're kind of removed from that process. Obviously, you see the bump developing, you feel the kicks, that kind of stuff is amazing. But we just didn't have anything to compare it to. So when you get some couples that say, oh, you know, our world really changed when baby arrived, we weren't able to do all the things we'd done together. For us, it never happened really because we got together and our eldest was effectively there. He might have been inside, but he was still there.
From day dot.
That's what it felt like, yeah. And I would never change anything or alter that. But in a fantasy world, if we'd had a little bit of time together first, I think that would have been quite good. And I wonder if that type of thing puts a lot of pressure on couples because there's no real establishment of the relationship beforehand. Luckily, we're both very stubborn individuals, so when it came to needing to be resilient and persistent, we could kind of manage that. But it was a different kind of experience. So as you were saying, it didn't really change for you, it felt really smooth. Yeah. For us, I'd say I've got no idea. I just do not know what we'd have been like.
How long had you guys been together?
Not long.
Okay, so it's a similar kind of situation. With my last, with my child, with my wife, the one that she biologically carried, because she took them all on, but with the one that she carried, we had we were friends for a period of time prior, but it weren't official. With her becoming, we separated for a bit because I had so much going on in my life, and she's young, she didn't have any kids, she's thinking about herself and her future, she had to kind of progress forward. We got back together, or she got pregnant, got back together. I think I may have proposed soon after, whatever, but a lot of our official relationship was within the marriage. Do you know what I mean? And within parenthood, and And from she came home that night, I guess the pregnancy was kind of honeymoon period. So that was the period of us being solid and together or whatever. But from she came home, I think could be the week she came home or even the day. The kids came and we was all a family from day .1. And it's kind of, even a bit later on as the kids have got older and everyone's disappeared, the dynamic is, I think that's the biggest shift. Everyone getting older. I think when the baby came, she kind of just solidified and brought us all together. Do you know what I mean? So... what else you got on there? How did it change with your friends and your family? You said that your brothers and the man them kind of got together. How did it change for you?
Well, first of all, I think we saw way more of our family than we had done before, which comes with
its own issues.
Which comes with its own issues, and I think that's another really interesting thing about becoming a dad is that you then kind of start seeing things. You've got your perspective of what it felt like being a child and having a father. But when you become a father, I started kind of reassessing all sorts of things. And even as a young kid, I remember thinking, I'm going to do things differently when I become a dad. I remember as 8, 9-year-old thinking, I'm going to be much more hands-on and I'm going to be more available and all this kind of stuff. So there's that, when you see them as grandparents with your kids, there's sometimes these really strange flashbacks. And some of them can be really lovely and some of them can be quite difficult, especially if their way of seeing and their way of doing things is kind of different opposed to yours or opposed to your partner's, and you're trying to work as a team together. That can be kind of tricky. So you can have quite a lot of tricky interactions. But on the whole, I think having family around, in particular family that genuinely want to be there for your kids, is really, really special. And of course, not everybody is in a situation where they have that.
One of my challenges when it comes to grandparents was seeing the grandparents my mum specifically, completely switch her position. So the way that she's raised me is on battle axe. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then now she's on the softest grandma, and I'm trying to do the same things that you raised me on. Yeah. She's like, how did you? That's inhumane.
It's like just they forget about it. They forget how they raised you,
bro. And I'm like, don't you? No, I never. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? You know?
I can't wait for that. I mean, I can wait to be a grandfather. I can wait quite a long time, thanks. But the emotional part of me can't wait because I'm thinking, oh, that's the easy bit, right? You get to indulge them, roll around on the floor with them, play with them, and then put them back. Marvelous. Not all this
sugar, and then there you go.
Not all this sleep deprivation and SAS. Are you tough enough? Which was when my oldest was born. That was a show that was quite big at the time, and I remember all the sleep deprivation, just thinking. I'd watch them and they'd play white noise in these sheds and they'd have their fingers against the walls. I'd be like, I can do that? That's easy. That's nothing compared to managing a kid with colic for 8 months. Yeah, so
8 months.
Yeah.
Hang on a second, Tom. Stick a pin. 8 months of colic?
Yeah, from about 4 weeks in, he had that till he was about 8, 9 months old. Yeah.
How did you cure it?
Well, this is.
First of all, do you want to tell what is colic?
Colic is just
so everyone knows.
Well, do you know what? It's so long ago I can't even properly remember. Yeah. But put it this way, what colic does is it basically means when you put your kid down, they just start crying straight away and you have to pick them up. And it's there's something to do with the air and the lungs and stuff. And it's a long time ago. But we'd have all these suggestions from the well-meaning, well-intended people saying things like, try gripe water. What is gripe water, right? We tried all these things. In the end, it just
do they still sell gripe water? That's
they did. They did in the early part of the century, which is where I'm going back to. But that kind of those sleep deprivations, and you get that. There's an interesting thing there with relationships when you end up kind of most of my mates at the time didn't have kids, so I felt in some ways quite isolated as a dad because I'd have these things and nobody really wanted to know. And then someone has said to me many years ago, there's 2 types of people in this world. Those with kids and those without. And you knew that if you turned up and you were with your mates having a pint or whatever and talking about baby, they'd just zone out. And you'd be running on empty. And I used to go into the office, and it was particularly difficult in the first few months, where I've been trying to support my girlfriend as she was then, wife now. She was breastfeeding, and I kind of just give her a break, right, and just take him and just dance around. This kid has soaked up so many musical genres in the first year of his life because it was really challenging, right? And I'd go into the office and people would go, "What were you up to last night? Where did you go? It looks like you went to some kind of crazy club." And I just look at him and just go, "I'm a new dad." And I'll be
Fatherhood club.
It was so that can be really demanding. And of course, when you're tired and you're your wit's end, that's when those kind of things with relationships become quite tricky. And that's where it's all about communication. Yeah.
One of the challenges I found and I probably recognized this more later on in life, comparing different relationships, was becoming a third wheel. Do you know what I mean? With my first son, I just tried to do everything with him. So mum was kind of the third wheel, and mum was just whatever. But later on, you kind of start noticing, a lot of that we time becomes, do you know what I mean? Or you're too tired or whatever. And then numerous times that did lead to stepping out. It lead to the breakdown of the relationship. And later on, as I matured, I had to recognize that this is a natural part. Like seeing it in certain conversations or podcasts, whatever, guys talking about, I felt a bit like a third wheel. I'm like, because where you're not communicating these things, you don't have another person say, brother, it happens, isn't it? It's normal. So you go about fixing it and finding solutions, but then these solutions create bigger problems, which create infidelity, insecurity, whatever. Mum's there trying to raise a kid and you're doing whatever. Do you know what I mean? But if I had that conversation 16 years ago, 15 years ago, that could have saved me some problems. Through experience, I learned, and then when it happened in marriage, I'm like, this is my time, kind of thing. With that third wheel time, you go and invest it in yourself.
So my one bit of preparation for this entire podcast, because we're rolling with this, right, was I thought, we know that the pressure put on couples, no matter how established their relationship is, whether it's, in our cases, it was relatively new, but even if you've been with someone for like 10 years, it puts a lot of pressure on. And it's something like 1 in 5 couples who have a baby split within the first year. That's like massive. And yet are we, as dads, talking about that? And I think that's the problem, is we're obviously not talking about our needs at the time, and it's really difficult. And
even feeling selfish. For example, like, we're adults, I want sex, you want sex, but people aren't always got the energy, the time, the effort, or not just sex, attention, affection. You haven't got that time, effort and energy, and then you're there feeling like a sport brat in the corner, and then you don't want to feel that way. So you go out and do something about it, but then now you've gone and messed up everything at home.
So there's this weird thing going on where there can be this huge disconnect with you and your partner, but the most amazing, well, certainly I'll speak for myself here, obviously you guys can say your own feelings, but this amazing connection with this little being, that your 50% of your DNA is in this little being, and it is like nothing else.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, 100%.
How did you guys find ways to stay connected?
We've only just met.
With your partner.
Okay.
Before we touch on that, let me just touch on, because we were talking about support from the family and things like that. A big thing for me as well was the community. So,
where did you go?
So I'm from South Norwood, so Croydon, South Norwood. And like taking my kids around, same barbers, same chicken and chip shop, same shop that I used to run around in. Do you know what I mean? Off license, boss man. Do you know what I mean? They know my kids. So the support as well, like I can send, like, go to the shop, because I know that boss man's gonna be, do you know, any problems, boss man's gonna phone me, or next time I go in there, he's gonna say, oh, by the way, I saw and they said, or someone was there. Do you know what I mean? So I think the community as well played a massive part, even down to the schools. Like it plays a massive part. Youth clubs, all of them things, a massive part as well.
What you say about the community, one of my nephews and my nieces, there was some incident at the corner shop and they've gone to whatever, and boss man just called up auntie, sorted. But because that community connection, and that's the world I grew up in, but oftentimes I don't see it as much in the now, because we're just a lot more individual. We don't have that time, man, to create those links, and that makes a better world for the people after us. Do you know what I mean? It's interwoven community fabric. You know?
And as our kids get older, of course, there's that, you mentioned schools, and there's that thing where you suddenly start meeting people you wouldn't otherwise meet, but because your kids have like become mates in the classroom, then they're coming around having play dates and all this kind of stuff, and you're meeting up, and some of them you like really get on with, and others it's like, well, okay, I'm going to indulge this a bit because like my kid really likes your kid and whatever. But there is still that sense of like support. I think I felt more connected once my kids were in primary school than I had done before that, but that's partly because we were like moving around a little bit from place to place. So
on that one, in now where I'm at kind of thing, sports day and all that, and dad's doing a dad race.
Yo, I'm training this year for sports day. I'm not playing games. I'm not playing games.
You don't look like you need to train.
No. This year, I've missed the last 2. Yeah.
Come back for the title.
I'm coming back. Yeah. Coming back. I'm waiting for it.
So to bring it back, how do we maintain our connection with our partners after pregnancy, in the early stages of parenthood?
I think you mentioned it, Dom. I think communication is so key. But communication is key for everything, whether you're at work, relationships, with your friends, with your partner. Communication is so key. So I think it's the communication of, look, I'm feeling low today, or this is what happened at work, or this is this is how I feel. I think communication is definitely number one.
Yeah, talking about feelings, I think that if I could rewind, apart from if I wish we'd had 2 years of relationship before kids came along kind of bit, I would definitely know now that I'd be far, far better able to talk about my frustrations and my feelings and feel that's justified and valid than being the dad, I'm kind of fix everything and I can't talk about it because I need to make sure you're okay, I need to make sure babies are okay, that type of stuff.
Do you ever feel like you have to be the backbone? Like you have to be the strong one?
I did then.
Not
I
anymore.
felt no, because we've done a lot of work on that, and various career changes for me have kind of have changed that massively. And I think that's one thing that I want to pay forward if my kids have kids, is to tell them, and they're 3 boys, and just say to them, listen, you know, if I want to give you one thing, it's please just talk about your feelings and talk about it from like an I perspective, like I am upset, as opposed to what can happen when you go, you told me to do this and you told me to do that. It all becomes about the other holding it inside.
Accountability pie model. Take your slice of accountability,
Yeah.
leave the rest on the table for whoever else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had said something in communication, being authentic in a relationship. Oftentimes we feel that we have to take on the burden of everything, but in doing that we're starting to not be who we are in order to mask and all this other stuff, and then down the line you become someone completely different under the pressure and all the rest. When if you were just said, I'm tired, I'm burnt out and whatever, nothing has to be done from that, but you've expressed how you feel and you've given the other person a chance to act on that. But if you don't and you're always carrying the burden, you can't expect anyone else to help you, or we will do it and then be like, oh, no one helps. Right?
And I think that's a classic place for the disconnect, where we might feel that, but also mums might feel like that as well, that they're doing all this and their bodies just become a vessel of like a feeding machine or a birthing machine, and we can't get into that because that's not us. Like I often wonder what it would be like if we could get pregnant.
Oh God!
Not to the point where I actually want to try it, but like not Arnie style. But I just wonder what that would, where there'd be a bit more understanding, and the other way, you know.
In the comms, really quickly before we wrap up, in the comms, having those conversations, I've come to see oftentimes that, and when I didn't in previous relationships, but in my marriage, that this is what you're feeling, this is what I'm feeling. Okay, and then clarity comes, and all the mist and the distraction and the confusion becomes, and then there's a lot more empathy that there's room for.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been episode 2 of the Croydon Commission Fathers Becoming a Dad podcast. I'm getting good at that.
You are.
And this has been relationships, couples, and relationship changes. Any Jerry's final thoughts for the people at home?
Be kind to yourself and allow yourself to have feelings and share those feelings. Definitely as a dad in particular, which is what this is all about.
Yeah, agree with Dom, but also as well, just keep going. Like literally just
Can't
keep
turn back, bro.
Yeah, keep going. As soon as your partner's told you you're going to be a dad and you've made that decision together that you're going to go through with it, put your head down and get cracking. It doesn't matter what that person's doing, doesn't matter what that person's doing. That's your life now. That's your family. Yeah.
That's man gave you the big man chat, you know. Say that into the camera. And final thought, communicate and be authentic.